Hey, what's up, fellow model train enthusiasts? This is Lone Wolf 777, broadcasting from his home in California today. I got some big news. I got all the decoders en route and shipping. So 2 decoders are going to go for these 2 locomotives, this F45 and this FP45, right here. Okay. So we got some things to discuss about these particular locomotives. This FP45, let's talk about this one first. The handrails paint was not sticking on because these particular parts are made out of metal, and some paints don't stick well to metal unless you primer them, paint them, then clear coat them, which seals the paint into the parts that you want them to be pretty much on. So I took those parts off, and these were super glued, by the way, so that was pretty hard to do. I don't want to do the same to this one because I'm afraid that maybe I might tear some stuff off, and so I'm going to try to keep this one right here with its front handrails on. And plus, it was so hard to get them to align right and make them look straight and even and everything, and I'm not doing that for both models. So this one is currently having the handrails pretty much repainted with primer and everything. So as you can see here, FP45 parts on the bag. And you can see that all these parts right here, I don't know if you can tell, but a few of them have been painted blue. The rest of it's still in the gray primer. I primered the parts that were painted blue just recently, which was today. You know, the best thing you can try to do is get all the parts with the primer and then the blue, and you know, get it all over as much as you can. That's pretty much the best you can do. And then once you've done that, you set them out in the sun somewhere to dry. That way it's going to dry out a little more faster to where it seals itself on. And then once it's done that, you clear coat the sucker, and then hopefully you won't have to come back and say, oh, well, now I got to redo this all over again because the paint's peeling off. So that's pretty much it. So there are parts that are getting painted for the F45, but it's just the rear handrail set. The same treatment has been applied to these parts as well, gray primer and then blue paint for the little stanchions part. That's pretty much it. But I do have to continuously paint them blue. You have to apply a few coats, make sure that once the coats are on, then you clear coat them, and then that's it. So that's pretty much it, what's going on for this one. So both handrails for this locomotive, front and back. So let me show you real quick. Right here, so both front and back. And this one, you only get to see this one pretty much be done. Now the handrails, I bought 2 different kinds of clear coats, one gloss and one flat. I'm going to apply the flat finish clear coat to the handrails on both units only, and that's pretty much going to be it. Now, one of the biggest accomplishments that I've had so far today is this one right here. The SD75M, number 226 Santa Fe diesel locomotive in the red and silver war bonnet paint scheme. Pre-merger, by the way. As you can see, no BNSF patch marks here or any of that. I love how the Santa Fe was pretty much the go-to railroad for inventiveness, luxury class, passenger service when it still had that. You name it. And the paint schemes that they had were so beautiful and so awesome to just watch going down the track. It was like watching a racehorse when you see the videos. You know, I'm not a gambler or anything, but that's pretty much as close as I can get it to analogy. Anyways, so as you can see here, today I finally added the MU cables that I was talking so much about. And you were probably wondering, well, Mr. Lone Wolf, you already installed a MU cable right here. This one is not for static display. This one's for pretty much operations, just like the real one in real life. Same as these ones right here, but they're metal and they don't move too much unless you want them to, and then they pretty much metal fatigue and break off, which I don't want happening. So anyways, I had to really just say, you know what, I'm going to go the very cheap route. I'm not buying black paint or anything to paint the hoses to make them look rubber and black. I wasn't going to do that. So I just took a Sharpie and went the cheapest route and colored it on black with a Sharpie. And I'm happy with the result. You know, it's not that huge of an issue. You do what you can with what you got, and with what the amount of money you got nowadays, you're better off just trying to stay as in much of the budget as you can. You got to go a little cheap, go a little cheap. But the MU cables are installed. You got the PWRS manual lock air hose. You got this scratch built out of brass uncoupling cut lever. You got this PWRS MU cable. And let's show you something really cool that something's been missing on this locomotive for quite a while. The Sinclair antenna. Okay. I'm pretty happy that I, ordered these parts and installed them. It really needed these parts to make it look realistic. And I also made scratch-built brake line air lines for both brake cylinders on each truck. So that's cool. And I ordered the DCC decoder for this thing, which is the Tsunami 1 sound decoder. Well, excuse me, Tsunami 2 EMD1 sound decoder. So I will put an edit to this video so you guys can understand what I'm saying. But yeah, this locomotive is completely done now. Exterior-wise, I've had this thing for 7 years. I just realized that today. And, I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I mean, you can see just how much work I put into the MU cables right on the rear, and then the uncoupling cut lever, all this stuff. And, once it's all back in order, this particular problem here, there used to be a little hook right in that shell where the right around here on the bottom, and I think that got torn off somewhere, because when I got this thing was glued on pretty much, and it wasn't sticking well, so I eventually just kind of used some Testors cement glue and went from there, and that didn't last long. And in the front of the locomotive, there was the same thing. There was a little hook that was on the end of the cab where you can see it kind of popping out a little bit, and that broke off. So eventually I just said, you know what? When I start putting this whole thing back together and it's all said and done, I'm going to glue the nose to the frame of this body, not the metal frame, but to the plastic frame where you get on board. And that's going to be it. I'm never going to take it apart. So yeah. So the decoders are en route, and I'm going to be super psyched to install them. because all the rest of the stuff is installed. The speakers for this one has been installed, as well as those two up there. And, you know, I just can't wait to fire these things up with the LEDs as well. It's going to be really cool. All right, Lone Wolf 777 signing off. See you down the rails. Peace out. If you got any questions, again, throw them down in the comment section.